You can run, but you can't hide. Can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. Can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide.
Make a small pond in the glass greenhouse terrarium. Spread silicone on the plastic surface. Evenly sprinkle the small stones. A solid framework will make it easier for you to do work later. Makes it easy to fill joints and gaps between rocks and boulders.
You can't hide.
At that time, there was a little white on my forefinger. I thought she was pooping. I am often asked, where can I to begin or how to do the aquarium? If you are a beginner, you could start by making a glass greenhouse terrarium. Making an aquarium or terrarium requires total concentration and enthusiasm. The risks of overwatering can be reduced with good drainage. This is your base ingredient and adds moisture retention to the soil. Imitate natural outdoor sunlight to help your plants grow healthier. Depending on the type of moss, most of moss thrives best when it has shade from the sun and plenty of moisture. Scoop and take out impurities. Instead of planting them, you can attach it to any hardscape within the aquarium. Advantage of aged water is that the water chemistry is allowed to stabilize. Lowering nitrates is important for achieving red aquarium plants, so I change the water twice a week. Remove algae from a fish tank. Aquarium gravel vacuum cleaner. Quick fish tank siphon cleaning for water changing. Put a few branches to give the plant the feeling of taking root. Clear superglue instant bond in just seconds. It works on multiple and hard to bond surfaces. Springtails are strong enough to hold back the tide of mold, keeping our ecosystems happy and healthy. Isopods are detritivores and require minimal care other than a humid environment. Mist the habitat daily with room temperature water to provide the necessary level of humidity. Do not allow the habitat to dry out. My mantis is 1 month old. It is already 25 millimeters long. Make an ecosystem in a glass greenhouse terrarium. The Apiliones is so big that the mantis can't conquer it. Place sticks at different angles in the cage, giving the mantis space to climb. The mantis will like having natural items to crawl around on. Make sure at least one stick goes up almost all the way to the top. Crickets are also one of the favorite foods of a mantis nawai. Isopods are an essential part of the ecosystem. They help clean up waste products. The mantis is going to eat the isopod. Isopods tends to run away or fold itself into an unappetizing hard ball when disturbed. What do you think the rank of mantis in insect world?